Hi everybody, I'm Chris Martirano. It's my privilege to be here today, and I mean that sincerely. On behalf of American Music and Sound and our great friends at Kraft Music, they're putting on this wonderful summer program called The Synths of Summer. By the way, I don't want to forget it, I'm sporting this beautiful Synths of Summer t-shirt. Please don't focus on the stomach, but rather the graphics. These t-shirts are really cool, and they're available to any end users out there who buy, I think the number is $249 worth of keyboard product and up, you will get a free t-shirt. So that's a cool deal. And any of you that have dealt with Kraft, you know that their staff is excellent. They're first rate, very knowledgeable, and they always put together these very cool bundles. Their website shows you just how much care they put into it, because they know keyboard players are going to need, you know, a keyboard case or a soft bag, or they're going to need pedals or wires or stands. And they put all this stuff together and give you a tremendous value. So you save a lot of money by buying the bundles. It's very, very cool. And they do something else that's cool. If you don't see the bundle on their website, talk to their salespeople, and their sales advisors will be happy to put together a custom bundle for you. So that's really cool. So what are we doing here today? I get the privilege to show you the Kurzweil K2700. I have to do a little talking up front, so I'll try to do that and do as much playing as I can. So I'm just going to get through some particular things that are of interest to you. One, I've already been asked the question, is the K2700 a definitive follow-up to the K2600? Is it really a K-series product? Well, let me put it to you this way. Kurzweil, and just so you know my background, I worked for them from late 86 till 2002. And from the year 1990 to 2002, I was director of professional product development there. And the products that came out with tremendously amazing engineers. What a great team. Soundware engineers, hardware and software, was the K2000, the K2500, K2600 series. We also brought out the PC series. The PC88 was one of our most successful products, followed by the PC2. Well, when Kurzweil went through a number of transitions, there was a new engineering staff put together, and they started and brought out a product called the PC3. The PC3X and then the PC3K. The PC3X didn't allow user samples, and the PC3K did. They started from a kind of a hybrid platform. They used the V.A.S.T architecture, although they made modification to it, but in a very cool way. And then they also used the category buttons for selecting instruments, and they used a lot of the PC88, PC2 legacy as well. So the K2700 sits squarely in the middle of the PC series and the K series. The V.A.S.T system, V.A.S.T, Variable Architecture Synthesis Technology, was so far ahead of its time that today it's still the most powerful platform in any hardware product I'm aware of. I do not work for Kurzweil. I'm an independent, and I get to work with everything. So I'm saying this as sincerely as I can. There's nothing that I dream up that I want to do that I can't do in this architecture. It's just mind-blowing. Anyway, having said that, the K2700 adds a couple things that you would have found on the K series. Number one, and most obvious, the 600 millimeter super ribbon is now reintegrated into the product. You can split it into 3 sections, or you can use it as one long super ribbon. That's really cool. Some new things they brought forward. They added a audio interface 2-channel. In fact, my lavalier mic right now is plugged into it. Hopefully you can hear my mic. I'm going to bring my mic up. Oh, sorry. I'm talking here a while. You probably didn't hear any of that. My bad. There's a user interface built in right now, audio 2-channel. And that 2-channel user interface, I have a lavalier mic plugged into it. And the audio that you're hearing from the keyboard is coming direct over a USB cable, USB audio. So everything is just directly K2700 into the computer. Just to recap what you might have missed because my volume was down. The K2700 is a hybrid instrument featuring a lot of the PC series that you saw in the PC3K and the PC4, and a lot of what was in the K series, namely the V.A.S.T architecture, which they've taken considerably further than we had in the K2600. You now have a myriad of wiring diagrams, and you can chain independent layers together. In Kurzweil speak, a layer basically is a multi-sample followed by a chain of DSP blocks that you can wire up differently, and then of course into the effects and the output. Very, very cool stuff. So I'm going to play a lot today. Like there's a ton of things packed into the instrument. It's an 88-note weighted action. And it feels really great. It's a different action than the PC4. It's the same action, I believe, that's in the Forte. In case you didn't hear before, I'm wearing this really nice t-shirt, The Synths of Summer, which is produced and put on here by Kraft Music. I want to thank them. I'm an independent programmer and sound producer and player. And I work for American Music and Sound as a consultant, and it's in that capacity I'm doing this today. Kraft Music puts together great bundles. I want to make sure that you know that. If you're a keyboard player and you're buying a keyboard and you need the stand and the case and the wires and the pedals and all the other things that you need as a keyboard player, they put these great packages together called bundles. And if you don't see what you like, they'll put a custom one together for you. You want to be sure and talk with your sales advisors there, and they'll put these custom packages together. You will save a ton. They give you a great value. Also, I'm going to be showing individual sounds. Everyone's taste is different. People want to hear pianos. People say, oh, I've heard piano before. People want to hear a variety of meat and potato sounds, and then I will dig into what makes this so deep. So let's get started. I'm going to start with just going through some categories, and I'm going to start with the pianos. And we'll move from there, and believe me, by the time of the end of this presentation, you'll be getting a lot of instrumentation that is very wild and crazy. So here we go. We'll start with our pianos. Right now I'm working in what's called quick access mode. The quick access mode allows me to store 10 programs in a bank that's called this quick access bank, and I can scroll through them. There's at least 50 of them in there, maybe more. Also, you'll notice that you can put in these banks single programs or multis, which are combinations. So here's one of the pianos. Behind every piano, if you hit the variation button, is a really sweet pad. This is something they also did in the PC4, which I love, and I think also in the PC3. So this is made from the 9-foot concert grand. I'll show another one. This has a different character. It's from the same piano recordings. Again, multi-dynamic levels were sampled, and they paid a lot of attention marrying the keyboard action to the sound so that it plays very, very musical. There's sympathetic string vibrations, so you know, you get all this stuff like hold notes down. Enharmonic notes, and now non-harmonic. Let's turn reverb off. So you can hear, it's really, they did a great job. It sounds very good. So here's another example of the 9-foot grand. They did a great job of standardizing the controls. So if I start messing with the controls, I can turn this piano into something pretty crazy, a really nice pad. What they did, the paradigm, the first two sliders are filter cutoff. The first one, filter resonance. Again, the buttons below them turn on and off these functions. Then you have amplitude attack, amplitude envelope release. Then you have some effects. One is called motion, and that's tied to some kind of a panning or some kind of a tremolo, depending on the nature of what it's hooked up to. And then we have effect 1 and effect 2. These will be dependent on the instrument we're listening to. For example, if it's a Tyne electric piano, it might be chorusing, it might be phasing, things of that nature. Then you have delay and you have reverb. So you always know that's happening. Then the first 4 knobs are dedicated to EQ. You have a bass shelf filter, then you have a parametric center with frequency and gain, and then you have a high shelf. So I could take this same piano, I could cut some of the bottom end out of it. Same for the mids, same for the high frequency. I'm going to leave it as it is though. I like the way it sounds. So we'll just select it again. And so I'm going to start playing with the controls. I think it's very cool. Let's go on and listen to some other pianos. This one's called Velvet Grand. Very, very nice. I won't go through all the pianos. There's just so many presets. There's two pianos in here, by the way, a 9-foot grand and a 7-foot grand. The 9-foot is a German and the 7-foot is a Japanese. So here's one they call Fierce Rock. It's good for that. Fierce. I guess you got to bang on it, and then it's fierce. There's a blues piano in here. A lot of these things are good for that kind of moody thing. Okay, I'm going to move on to electric pianos. Suffice to say, there's just so many presets. There's over 1,500 programs and over 700 multis. So you can get lost in here. Here's some of the Tyne electric pianos. This one is kind of, there's a lot of, you'll find in the names, a lot of what the intent of the programmer was. So it kind of leads me to want to play in those styles, you know. So let's, we'll just bring this one up. Again, I can add a lot of different effects. I can sweep filters. I can do a bunch of different things to that piano and make it sound very different. I'm going to step over here to one that's called Bark EP. I love the bottom end on this. Another one here, quick, is called Age Tolex. These are fun. This one, we'll just EQ it up a little bit, throw a little bit of highs on it. Another 73, 77 bells. This one's very kind of, the tines are very present. Move into a little bit hybrid of FM. There is a fully operational 6-operator FM engine in here, which we're going to take a look at. I'm going to press edit a few times and show you a little bit under the hood as well. But I think most of you just want to hear, what does it sound like? So this one, I put this combination hybrid together. It's FM and also Tine Electric. And we can see kind of what the FM engine looks like. You can see, you know, your standard operators, and you can see the ratios and your envelopes, your envelope generators. Then you can step over and you can do some really interesting things. Like, for example, you don't have to use sine waves. You can use sawtooth waves in FM. That was not available in the originals. By the way, while I'm talking about FM, you can download any patches you find on the internet, sysx files, that were created for the DX7, TX7, or I believe even the TX802. And they will load directly in. You don't have to do any conversion. You just put them on a thumb drive. On the back of the instrument is a USB port for a thumb drive for storage, and also USB for USB audio and MIDI connection to your computer. So very cool. So you get an idea now of the hybrid kind of. And I put on the variation button a very interesting kind of modulation on something. It's a great sound. We'll go on to some of the reed electric pianos. They're quite nice as well. just improvising on little ditties here. Vintage amp reed. This has the amp simulation on it, which gives it a lot of bite. Okay, I'm really anxious to jump on to where you start putting all these together, but I'll show one more. This one is called Real Touch. I like this one. Oh, this one's actually called Beck. Beck's Retro. Tube amp, dyno, there's a whole bunch in here. I love the Mtron. This is a Mtron put on. And this one's for you, Dave Weiser. I love Dave, but he hates pitch bend on any electric pianos. Put a little slap on this, just a little bit. Used to hearing that usually on a clav, but it's great on an electric piano. Getting into the more obscure uses of these pianos, such as of course, when you see a name like Walrus Keys, what are you going to do? And then we have this one, which is called No Quarter. Moving into the CP70 category. Many flavors, of course, so you get the course, you know, Eddie Jobson would have played it, and he would have played it right. So I'll hear about that from all my friends later. Anyway, here's another one. Now, for those of you who were playing in bands in the 70s, like me, we actually carried one of those around. And I probably will never walk upright again after that and carrying the loyal B3 around in the Leslies. Oh my goodness. And then, of course, we have the RMI as well represented in here. And you get... you wouldn't have had great music like Lamb Lies Down without the RMI. Now, true traditionalists would notice that there's some velocity tracking on this. The original didn't have that. Of course, it'd be easy to turn it off. But I think if they had that opportunity back then, they might have actually implemented it. But if you just play hard, you won't hear a velocity. It's kind of what it sounded like when you were playing soft. Okay, I'm going to move into now some additional things that are very cool. The pads in the instrument. They did a beautiful job with these pads. There are so many to choose from. So I'm going to just show you a handful of them. You'll always find interesting things behind the variation button, and of course if you want to manipulate the filters. If you're moving a filter, of course you have to move your mouth. Prerequisite for being a keyboard player. Here's another beautiful pad. The real-time control is just mind-blowing on here. You have 9 switches, and those switches can have multiple functions. They can be momentary or toggle. They can act as, in many ways, a macro. So you can have one button do a million things. Then you have 9 sliders, which can be used, of course, for the organ mode, KB3 mode, or mixing sequences, or manipulating sounds in real time, or controlling external devices that you have hooked up. It's just awesome. 9 knobs above them as well. They're not encoders, they're fixed so that they do not continuously rotate. So you definitely have a start and an end point, which is very cool. Onto another pad. This one's using the VA1 technology, which is variable architecture. But in this case, this was virtual analog. That's what VA stood for in the technology that came out in an instrument design that never really saw the market. But it was called the VA1. And that technology is all modeled analog. So the filters, all of the waveforms, all analog modeled. So here's a beautiful patch. I got so much to show. I just have to get quickly going through these sounds. If I didn't hit on your favorite sounds that you're looking for, realize I have a very tight time frame here. Here's some string programs. By the way, there's 100, I had to write this number down. There's 145 string programs. They have a violin section. Recorded the violins only, the violas only, the cellos only, and the basses only. And then made a myriad of different string programs, different articulations. Adagio, marcato, very cool. So here's some of the string programs. Just a quick handful of these. Viola. This is a cello section. You don't typically get the individual sections. Marcato. No time for that. Consordino. Very expressive ton, like I said, 150 programs. So in the interest of time, I'm watching my time. I'm going to try to fly through a lot of this. We have a bunch of really, really cool sounds in the synthesizer domain. So let's jump into what's going on there. This is using one or many of the 16 arpeggiators, which there's also step sequencers that can be used for the arpeggiator. And they have up to 48 steps. Those 48 steps, you can program, rests, you can program notes, you can program the duration, you can program the note value. So you can get some very cool stuff. So let's just listen to some of the patches made that are taking advantage of some of these arpeggiations. We'll start from simple and we'll move out to a little more complex. You notice the pads moving? The pads can be used in multiple functions in multiple different ways. I'm going to show you something with that as well coming up very quickly. Just to show a couple more things going on here using the arpeggiators. Now I'm going to use these bottom notes, A0 through E2, can trigger, you can make little sequences or long sequences and call them riffs and drop them into a multi, into zones. So you can have multiple sequences running inside of a single multi. You have up to 16 zones in a multi. So you'll notice that while I was doing that, I'm playing different notes, but the guitar figure was staying fixed. You can do some great stuff. People wanted to see the sequencer. Well, the sequencer is pretty deep, and in the sequencer, you're allowed to call a channel the drum channel. That means it won't transpose. So you can do some very cool things. You could put a fixed figure on that track, and then you could have other tracks underneath it moving around. I'm going to show a couple more of these. That's designed to be very grungy, and it certainly is. We have something like this. Now you could drop these into your multi and add sounds to play along over the top, or you, as I say, you can create your own, which is the really cool thing. So let's take a look at some of the, as these things progress. Of course, you have a full complement of, shall we say, tape-based instrument samples in here. So you have let's see, a couple more. I know what you thought I was going to play. Everybody plays it. Ah, yes. Let's see, and then of course you have the one that, you know, the whole bunch of Mtron in here that's great. I hate to jump over this. FM, a lot of templates, so you have the I remember first time I heard that, I was like, that's brass. If we want to edit, we can go right into the FM, and we can step over here to our FM, and we can see that the lower octave is the 0.500 frequencies here. So just we're going to reduce the gain to that. The fun is when you start layering this with something else. So now I layered this with real brass. That'll make all the Asia fans mad, but at any rate. Very cool, tons of reverb. You can draw it right up because you have reverb on the front panel. I'm going to move into, as I said, the virtual analog. You have some really great patches. This is just to give you an idea of what the, you know, the standard kind of things sound like. You can get way further out. Okay, again, moving through, I want to go to, let's see, here's some more. Here's one I made of a classic sound. I have to flub that because if I play the whole thing, it'd be terrible. Anyway. Then you can get sounds like. Lots and lots of different sounds in here. We're going to move into some of the FM sounds as well, even though the icon is showing you an analog keyboard. Ah, yes, there's a classic. We'll never forget that. That's a hybrid using samples and FM. Love these sounds. Of course, they're all editable. Let's see, for my last couple minutes, I'm going to jump into stuff that I made. You can check it out. This will just combine a whole lot of stuff together. To another one here, and you're going to hear like a variety of these different kinds of changes coming in. So let's see. to just panic once here, make sure everything comes back. And let's see, we'll just jump on to a different one here. If I hold the key down, it's going to play a figure over the top. If I hit a key, I can stop that. I got very clumsy fingers today. Sorry about that, folks. Let's see. I want to show you some orchestral. Here's an orchestral ensemble I put together. See a couple of uses, a little bit of KB3, which you haven't heard yet. All of these drawbars are live, so I can just sorry for the incredible change. Time is really quickly running out. And I'll give you one more ribbon fun here where you could play things like Well, we're just about out of time. Don't forget you can win a K2700. Look at the link below. Sign in. K2700 is going to be given away. Anyway, I'm Chris Martirano. Thank you all for watching. And thank Kraft Music for putting on the Synths of Summer. Don't forget the t-shirt. $249 and more, and the great bundles of Kraft. Thanks again. I'm Chris Martirano. Have a great day.